People fail to realize that a 40-hour job can have different levels of intensity. Often I read about posts where people claim that they listen to audiobooks at their job all day or do 2 hours of work and the remaining 6 they browse the web or read or play online games. Of course these people then have a lot of energy left for activities after work because although they have a 40-hour job their work intensity is pretty low. I have a job where out of the 8 hours I work I really work 7.5 hours. Besides the regular 30-minute lunch break I spend perhaps 30 minutes on the toilet, or drinking, or looking out of the window stretching. The remaining 7.5 hours I work non-stop I have to because my workload is so great. When I end my day week I have a fraction of the energy of the people that have a low-intensity job because I have a high-intensity job. That's why rich people can claim to have a 60 or 80 hours work week and still be full of energy because what they define as work is low-intensity work. That's why smug people can claim that it's easy to go to the gym after work and that there is something wrong with you if you don't have energy left at the end of the day. They probably have a job where they work only half of the time or all the time at half their maximum. If you have a job where you work 95 of the time or all the time at 95 of your maximum, it's an entirely different story. X200B. For real. I work in a hospital and some of my colleagues in other departments work 60 but I work a solid 40. I don't like volunteering for overtime. But fuck man. I pull trash cans for 8 hours and burn bio-waste. I'm exhausted. I then go home and I watch the kids while my wife goes to work. Like, I don't have excess energy. End. I work 35 hours weeks but the 7 hours in the day is non-stop moving. I'm so exhausted by the time I get home I usually end up napping late into the evening to fuck up my sleep schedule and wake up at 5 to do the same shit all over again. I didn't understand how people could go to the gym, cook a nice dinner, and have a social life until you put it into perspective of work intensity. I don't have the energy to do any of that until Friday comes because I know I don't have to work the next 2 days. I personally think there's 3 points of exhaustion from jobs. 1. You have to be there all fucking day and can't control when you leave or go in for the most part. 2. You have to do shit you don't want to do all fucking day and in my work, like yours it's a bunch of hard work. 3. You have to interact with a ton of people and can't get a second to yourself all fucking day. Co-workers or costumers, whichever. Not all jobs require all 3 but the ones that do are 3x as exhausting. Agreed, and it isn't just physical intensity. Mental and emotional fatigue can make it so you don't want to do anything after work either. I'm a teacher, but I usually do some sort of temp work over the summer just for extra money. There is a world of difference between how I feel after herding tiny humans for 8 hours versus doing data entry for 8 hours. My job is 8 hours of pretty chill stuff, but every so often some jackass goes on a drug-fueled tirade in the lobby, or gets maced by his dealer and strips naked, or bleeds all over the floor, or you get a Karen. I'm a night auditor and tell new hires that 90% of nights are mellow and calm, it's the 10% that aren't where you earn your keep. X200B. FYI, all 3 of those actually happened. Required reading bullshit jobs. We all have the same 24 hours. No, we don't. Worked in an animal hospital for 11 hours a day, 4 days a week. Sure, having an extra days is awesome, if you can move, thumbs up. Constant never-ending work, no fucking around time, very high stakes, and people wonder why suicide and burnout is so prevalent. I worked security once. Pretty sure I pulled some 60-hour weeks which mostly involved drinking coffee and being sat on my laptop. Yep. If I go to the gym, it has to be before work. Because after I get home from work, I got nothing left in the tank. I'm constant motion at my job. It's 8 hours a day of physical work. I have a friend that sends me YouTube links to me all day to watch. They make like $80 an hour. I have a friend that is a web designer that makes $100 hour. And she just makes her own hours. I make $17 hour, and I work so much harder than all my successful friends. I go to work a fairly physical job, lots of walking, carrying stuff and heat. I think I work around 7.30 out of my 9 hours every day. The first thing my trainer said on day one was to manage my energy. No one can work 109 hours a day for a prolonged period of time. Also, I have noticed that when work environment is friendly or chill, people tend to not feel as tired. That said, I still find time to go to the gym 4x a week, but that's more of a personal goal. The most exhausting part of any job, whether you're busting ass and lifting concrete bags, or sitting on your ass waiting for that emergency call to come in, is that someone else owns your time for 40 hours a week, and will until you die. My day. I am 57 by the way. I wake up at 4 a.m., have a cup of coffee and get on the treadmill at 430. Exercise for 45 minutes to an hour. Cool off, browse Reddit. Go to work from 0700 to 1530. I am an imaging technologist, PET and CT. I have patients all day, every day. Low stress job, but I am hustling, imaging, starting IVs. Been doing this for 30 years. Work is less than a mile from home. Get home and take the dog for an hour walk. Eat dinner and am in bed by 2100. I meal prep on Sundays for lunches and dinners for the whole week. Makes a ton of difference. I'm a process assistant at Amazon, just their term for supervisor, assistant manager basically, and I come home completely wiped the fuck out every single day. It's both physically and mentally draining. I have to run my ass off to clear jams and keep things flowing in a timely manner, and I have to be on my toes and able to make reasonable executive decisions. I run one of the most difficult departments in the entire building as well. I have some co-workers who work 60-hour weeks every other week, and I'd cow they're doing it. 50 hours is my maximum, and even that's pushing it. I work 150% of 40 hours. Teaching doesn't allow enough time for preparing. If I don't work more than my contract hours, other teachers condemn me, children have shitty activities, and it actually makes my job harder. 98 of second-line managers. Up through executives, CEOs just talk to people. They ask questions and tell people what to do. They're not responsible for creating, inventing anything, figuring anything out, producing anything. It's easy to get up at 4 a.m. and work out if you don't actually do any work during the day. I work at a job where I constantly have to be multitasking, and I mean constantly. For example, Friday I was running a really high-pressured meeting, and at the same time I'm having to outline market research data pulls. In every single meeting I have to multitask like that, or I'll have to work 16-hour days instead of the 12 I already do. It's the worst job I have ever had in my life. I'm not going to the gym after these types of days. I'm lucky I have the energy to take my poor dog for a 5-minute walk. One of the huge problems is that there are two types of jobs. You've got the physically demanding jobs and the mentally demanding jobs. When I worked a physically demanding job, I was dead tired at the end of the day, but as long as I got enough sleep I never felt burnt out on my days off. Now that I have a mentally demanding job, I feel drained constantly. Even though I work less, I can't enjoy my little bit of time off. I'd go back to the physical jobs, but they pay like shit. Ex-commercial fisherman, ex-construction worker and current farmer. I always tell people with low-intensity jobs to match me for a week and keep up their gym schedule and sleep schedule. It's really quite difficult and may not seem to be upfront, but cleaning a chicken pen teaches you a lot about workload. I'm a school custodian. I use my brain and body non-stop for 8 hours a day. I'm torched when I get home. And it was the same when I managed a gym, worked as a union laborer, but the hardest job I had was managing a McDonald's.